You also have a method that is promised to help growing coaching businesses by at least $100,000 in a 6 month. If you can share with us, or walk through the key strategies that help people to grow their business to over six figures or $100,000 in a 6 months.
Don't have sales conversations or these fake, we're going to do a game plan or a strategy session, and your intention isn't that. Your intention is, I'm going to pitch you something. I don't pitch. So at the end of a Zoom, for example, if they haven't said, how do I work with you or how do I get in your program, I'm not going to tell them.
You got mentored by Zig Ziglar. So if you can share, what are your key lessons you learned from him that have profound impact on your approach towards business, towards life?
If I show up as a blank slate, I learn so much about myself, so much about the world. We do not know things. If we come with an attitude, I already know, and we're real righteous or we're real closed-minded, there's not going to be any growth.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Entrepreneurs Warrior Show. This is where I interview entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants who are expert in their niche. And I'm your host, Nilesh. And today we have one of the incredible guests with us today. My God, I am really getting goosebumps. She built 8 businesses and all are multi-million dollar businesses, like 8-figure business in a year. And she is in the business from 43 years. Can you imagine? This is crazy, right? 43 years of business and sales and marketing experience she has, and help over 7,500 business owners to reach their dream goals or revenue goals. And she is best-selling author of over 40 books. Can you imagine, 40 books she have written and built and sold over multi-million dollar companies and business? And I'm super excited for this podcast. So without further ado, let's have Dr. Terri on the stage. Hi, Dr. Terri. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, and thank you. That was quite an introduction. I'm like, who is he talking about? Very much.
But it was fun. I'm super excited for this podcast because doing such phenomenal thing at from very long time. I know you have a lot of experience, a lot of expertise, and this podcast is going to be a lot of valuable for all the listeners. So, but before we go and deep more about it, I would love to hear from you your backstory. How did you begin, and wherever you are right now today? So, but what's the backstory? What's the behind the scene of the journey of 43 years?
Oh my gosh. So I started out as a speech language pathologist. I had 6 years of study, got my master's degree, and came out of college and ignorantly started my own business and realized I knew how to be a speech language pathologist. I knew nothing about a business. So it was very, very difficult. I finally figured it out, and this thing happened where a guy walked in and said, I want to buy your business. And I was like, I'm not selling. Thank gosh, my husband's like, let's just talk to him. And so within a few short years, I sold my first business, and that was back in 1982. And I made $1 million, which now would not be a lot of money, honestly. Back then, we took the $1 million. My husband is a financial advisor. He invested it, and we really leveraged ourselves. And then after that, I wonder if I could apply this formula to another business. And as you said, it has worked in every business. They've all been completely different kinds of businesses. And then part of the backstory, I spent 5 years as CEO of a national healthcare company. It was 5 horrible years. The company loved me. I am not an employee. And I was miserable every day. And finally, I said, you know what? I'm going to start my own consulting and coaching firm. And I walked out over 30 years ago. I've never looked back. I've been so happy doing what I do. Right now, I'm here in Mexico, where I live in the winter and into the part of the spring. Then I go to my home in New Jersey for the summer because that's on the beach. And then part of the time, I'm also in my home in Philadelphia. So I get to travel. I just love my life. I don't know what to say.
Beautiful. And when you are mentioning in 1982, you sold your $1 million business company. I was not even born that point of time. I born in 1997. So like that is before I got a birth in this country, in this world. That's a huge super. So Harry, when I was reading more about you, learning more about you, you are a doctorate, like you have a doctorate business thing in your journey, and now you are into business, sales, marketing. So, like, what's this transition like? Being from coming from a doctor, then you completely shift to and uh, it might be happened that point of time only in 70s or 80. I'm not sure. So that point of time, like this kind of thing is not that much uh, valuable. I'm not like
Mm.
people feel like you are a doctor, so why you are leaving your doctorate and you are moving to another might be you get this kind of things from your family, from your relatives, but how was the transition and how was it for you?
I'm only chuckling because I have a story with my dad with this. So I decided to quit corporate America, and I am really good at business sales and marketing because I've now owned all these companies. And as I do that, I also decided to get a PhD in organizational behavior because I actually want to understand the minds of the business owners. I don't only want to consult them on business strategies, I want to improve their mindset because without the right mindset, I can give you all the strategies and it's going nowhere. So
So
the
true.
reason I chuckled when you were saying that is my dad, who never understood this business that I'm in. He said, "What a waste. You wasted your speech language pathology, your master's, and now you're wasting a doctorate." And I'm like, "Dad, I use everything from speech language pathology in terms of how I communicate and how I listen to others every day. And I use my doctorate every day with my client family members so I can really tune in, hear them, hear what's underneath the words, and continue to transform their lives, which impacts their businesses." So it all does tie together.
Loved it. Thanks for sharing that. And, but the path that you choose, the journey that you decide is giving you making sense, and it happened because you loved it and you enjoy this process, you enjoy the journey, and you are making a huge impact in the world with the decision that you made. So huge congratulations and shout out for that one decision that you had. That's the reason I'm meeting with you today.
That's
Super.
all I care about is I wake up every day, just I have a bracelet that says serve and create. Just serve my
Definitely.
audience, create value, and then whenever I feel like I've done that, I turn it around with my little check mark and my day's complete.
Loved it. Loved it. That's very beautiful thing. Thanks for sharing. So, Terry, you also have a method that is promised to help growing coaching businesses by at least $100,000 in a 6 month. If you can share with us, like, or walk through the key strategies that help people to grow their business to over six figures or $100,000 in a 6 months. Like, what kind of steps as a coaches or coaching business owners have to follow? If you can drop down, that would be awesome for us.
Yeah. So first, I'll just tell you how the program came to be. I literally had a file with the lifetime of all of my work, step by step, what I did for each business to grow it. And I've had, as you said, well over 7,000 clients. And I put this all together for myself. And then I said, oh, I'll do a webinar and I'll teach a lot of this. And people were like, well, can I buy this as a program? And I went, huh? And so that's how the six-figure accelerator came to be. And we've had several thousand people through the program with lots of testimonials. So here's the first thing. As a coach or a consultant or any business owner, I encourage you to stop doing what everybody else is doing. Stop dropping in with a bunch of comments in Facebook groups that aren't relevant. Stop posts that are not on your brand. Stop going for vanity numbers of followers and connections. And stop direct messaging people because people are really getting sick of it. And instead, start creating value. So the first thing I would say to you is, what is it that you know inside out that you could absolutely teach in an hour? Go teach it, whether it's in a Facebook group, whether it's on a webinar, whether it's on a Zoom, whether it's on a phone, whether it's in person. Go gather a handful of people and simply teach it. And then every single day, create a piece of content that will really make a difference for people. It could be Twitter, it could be YouTube, it could be TikTok, it could be Facebook, could be a live. I don't really care. If you start focusing every day on one piece of content, well thought out, to create an impact and to help someone learn something, then what happens is what I call reverse marketing. People raise their hands. You don't have
Wow.
to wait for them. They come to you. That's the biggest thing I want people to get.
That's very important factor in the industry. Like, you first have to teach and educate your students, future student, you might be say, before you actually sell them something, right? That's very beautiful thing. And the reverse thing that you have created, which definitely makes sense. Thanks
Yeah.
for.
You're welcome. And the more that you impact people, this is my true experience, the more you
Hmm.
make a difference for people without any reciprocity or without even
Hmm.
an outcome of selling, just can I make a difference? Can I make a difference? We average about 19 prospects every single day that raise their hands. I don't have to direct message people, I don't have to hunt for people. I create value, they will find you and they will raise their hands. It really is that simple, and people have made it very complicated.
Wow, loved it. A mic drop thing you dropped right now. You also build $1 million business with Facebook organic only by implementing the same process, or is there something different you implemented in
Mm.
your system that help you to generate over $1 million from just Facebook organic only?
Now, that is a good question, and no one has asked me that. So, that's a really powerful question. So, I started a Facebook community. It's called Entrepreneurs with Terri Levine. And it's with Terri Levine because I'm in there as a member creating value and encouraging the rest of the community to do the same with tons of engagement. And all I started to do is focus on value for that community. So in the file section, there's templates, there's reports, there's white papers, there's checklists, like some of my best stuff all for free.
Hmm.
Then every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern, I go live and train on a topic that my group is asked to hear about. From doing that, the hand raises come, and we do about 1 million every single year organically from this group. This is going to be, I believe, our 12th year of using this method. I love community. I love creating value. So I just hang out with my entrepreneur family, and if I can serve them, they let me know.
Loved it. That's very beautiful thing. And what you're sharing is totally makes sense, because I also create a community, and in that community I in 2021 I took a challenge of 365 days Facebook live. I
Mm,
published it for the whole 365 days without a day break. So
wow.
that has changed the entire thing. So I totally relate with you what you are talking here right now.
Yeah, it makes such a difference. And,
Yes.
I only did it for 30 days. I really admire you. So when I first started my community, I went live every single day at a
Mm.
scheduled time, every single day for 30 days. And
Yeah.
the community built from, a couple hundred people to thousands of people very, very quickly. So that is 365 days. I applaud you, my friend. I really
Thank
do.
you so much. Thank you so much. But yeah, because I'm relating with it also, I thought I let me share with you. But yeah, it is really makes sense to make huge impact, giving them what they are looking for and without having any expectation in return.
Exactly.
That's why we are creating our huge impact and the purpose that we build, right? That's
Exactly.
what
So
it
we're
is
here
very.
for, right? That's what
Yeah.
we're here for. And I always tell the people going through the six-figure accelerator, keep your eye on the right ball. And the
Hmm.
right ball is, are you creating value? Is an audience starting to gather? Or do you have a community? Not, did it get a prospect? Did I get a sale? I'm never concerned about that. I know
Hmm.
that that will come. And if I just keep focused on who can I help? How can I help? I wrote a blog article this morning. I did one podcast before yours. I have to record my own today. It's just value, 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 value.
Value, 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 and right hook.
Yes, exactly. Well said.
Yeah. Right. Loved it, loved it. Awesome. You got mentored by Jig Jigler. That's really huge, right? So if you can share, like, what are your key lessons or the principles you learned from him that have profound impact on your approach towards business, towards life? That would be amazing, because Jiggler is someone whom I am admiring the most, and definitely you got mentored by him. So I would love to know your experience, your journey with him.
Well, first of all, it was such a blessing because I just started out in business. I
Hmm.
knew I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't really have funds. And I just felt attracted to him and thought, I have to learn from him. And I went and got a small business loan. I mean, everybody in my family was like, are you out of your mind? I'm like, no. And the biggest thing that I learned, the first thing and the most impactful to this day, is the focus is just helping enough other people, right? That's how you get everything in life. And
Right.
so it shifted me completely from, I got to have doctors refer patients to my speech clinic. I got to beg the doctors and talk to no. I'm going to go say to the doctors, I want to help your patients. I'm focused on your patients. Let's see how I can help them. That one thing, and literally was the biggest impact. Within 5 days, I started to have doctors referring to me who for
Wow.
6 months wouldn't refer anybody. And it was me that changed. It was my system. My whole business, my whole company, Heartrepreneur, where we do business heart to heart, is based on the philosophy of just simply helping enough other people. That was the most transformational lesson I've had in my lifetime.
Wow.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Thank
Again, another mic drop, another golden nugget, I can say. And when you are talking about heartpreneur, heart to heart selling, you can, like, I know the heart to heart selling is building more connection, more trust. But if you can drop your formula, like how you are actually connecting with people on the basis of heart to heart, like you mentioned, like I'm doing sessions, I'm doing webinars, Zoom call, but is there anything else you are also following for heart to heart selling with your tribe, to your tribe, so that can actually influence people to purchase from you, not from anyone else, not from any other competitors?
So, one of the things that we do, and I write these for my client family members too, is an educational 5 day email course. And
Hmm.
there's nothing being sold, zero. It's nothing, no pitch. It's truly 5 days of major education.
Wow.
And I include 2 bonus days after. And so we get people subscribing to that every single day. And that's how people get to start to know me, like me, trust me or not, follow me, connect with me. And that leads them to wanting to dive into more, whether it's my podcast or my blog or being in my community or reading my books. And the second thing that I do is I'm very strategic about what communities I belong to on Facebook and LinkedIn. I only belong to ones where I really feel like I can go in and make difference and create value. So every day I spend 20 minutes on social media. That's it. I use a timer because otherwise you get sucked into it. And in those couple of groups, I go in and I look at 2 or 3 posts and I ask, is there anything that I can speak to that will create value? Just those two activities, certainly we do more. Those two are what bring people to me, begin to engage with me, and then I can start really listening to what's going on in their business, where do they need help, and ask myself, am I the right person to help them? And if not, send them to another resource or to someone else. Does that make sense?
That's totally makes sense. And the last statement that you just share, like if I am not able to help this person, I can push or drive this person to the right person. It is one of the most powerful thing we are doing with our people, because that point of time they feel like, no, this person is here to serve me, this person is here to help me.
It's so important to me. I'm not
Yeah.
the solution for everyone. And I
Right.
they say to me, tell me about your program. I might want to buy it. I said, my program's not a cookie cutter. Let
Hmm.
me have myself or my team talk with you, figure out A, if we can help you, B,
Hmm.
which program would be best, and then make a recommendation. And it might be we're not right, somebody else I know is right, or here's a tool, or here's a book, or here's a free YouTube video. And that's the attitude that I'm encouraging your viewers and your listeners to really have, versus, oh my gosh, I'm speaking to someone, I hope I get a sale. I'm like, oh, I'm speaking to someone, I can't wait to create value. That's a very big mindset difference. And that's why I work with business owners on getting this right, because that's the foundation we all need.
Beautiful. That's another beautiful thing that you just, like, this podcast in 20 minutes have a lot of knowledge,
Good.
a lot of wisdom. In just 20 minutes we have a lot of breakthroughs out there. Superb. So you are a financially free, right? From last 25 years or 30 years you are a financially free. So what is your definition of financial freedom? Like, how you are seeing uh, your journey as a financial freedom free. I would love to hear from you and your journey about financial free.
So being financially free for me means I only work if I choose. I never have to work. Money flows in whether I am servicing a client or not, because I'm a business owner that is an independent business owner, which means the business can run without me. And that's a big issue. Most coaches and consultants have a glorified job, which means they're trading time for dollars. And if they decide to lay on a beach in Tahiti for 2 months or to take care of an ill parent or kid, no money comes in. That's a nice little side hobby or a job. And that is not how I establish my companies, or nor how I teach my clients to. So for me, financially freedom is I can live where I want. I can travel where I want. I can work if I choose, not work if I don't choose. And the money is constantly rolling in. I don't know if you saw this you've done a lot of research. I give 90% of my income to my foundation, the Terri Levine Foundation for Children with Reflex Sympathetic
Wow.
Dystrophy. And I've been able to do that. This is year 13. That's financial
Mhm.
freedom.
Respect for you. Huge shout out for you on this point. That
Thank you.
is the true purpose you are living, because this is also a dream of mine, to build a school or might be a hospital for needy people. That's a big goal for me. But yeah, thank you so much
Mm.
for sharing this one beautiful thing. So like, if you can share about your 8 businesses, like right now it is 8 or more than that. If the number is increased, I would love to know more about it. But how did you figure out, like, okay, I built this first business, then second business, then third business? It's not a normal thing, right? You have to completely establish one business first, having everything in place, set up automation and everything in place, and then you are able to move to the next business. So how did you uh, prepared all of these things, and how it is going on? I would love to hear this thing from you, because it is going to add a lot of value in
Okay.
listeners' life. Right.
So I already mentioned that first business, like I wasn't looking to sell it. Like I never even thought about that.
Yeah.
So I sell the business. I'm still quite young. And I look at my husband and say, now what do I do? Because I thought I was going to be a speech pathologist forever. And he said, now you can do whatever you want. So think about what you want to do. And I grew up very, very poor. And then my father took a different job when I was about 10 years old. And literally overnight, we moved from a kind of rundown, seedy area of New York to a beautiful house in a very upscale community in New Jersey. And I've never even seen a house before, I'd only seen apartments. So I was completely blown away. And a new friend invited me to their home. I went to their house and a woman came to the door and she said she was the nanny. Never heard of that before. And then she led me to a room called the library. I'd only ever seen a library in a library. And she said my friend would be down. I stood in the middle of the room. To this day, I remember the whole thing. Dark paneled walls, art all over the place with art lights. I stood in the middle of the room. I was frozen. I felt so uncomfortable. So I told my husband I made a decision that I want everyone to feel comfortable around art. And I started a home art show company, bringing art at affordable prices to people's homes. So eventually, I had 1,800 art consultants in the United States doing art shows. When I sold that business, I already knew I had a formula. Okay, now I understand how to build a business from the ground up with the intention of selling it. And so then I said, well, what else could I do? Well, I came out of the field of speech language pathology, so I could start a rehabilitation company, which I did, and then sold it. And then in the fields of coaching and consulting, I had an Abundant Living Institute. I had two coach training schools. I had a business consulting institute. So as I moved into consulting, everything kept lining up and I got away from healthcare. Art was just simply a passion, and it still is. And now I've been in this business where I can honestly say I feel at home. I landed on what I'm supposed to be doing now for well over 30 years. People ask me all the time, are you going to sell this? I'm like, not in any foreseeable future, because I don't plan to retire. I do what I love. I love what I do, and I hope I have the mental acuity and the physical acuity to do this long, long term.
Beautiful. I don't have a words to say anything, but yeah, just amazing. You are doing like crazy, superb. Uh, like you have a lot of certification in your journey. Like from over 43 years, you invested a lot of in your self learning, different certification. So from this, it looks you a lot of invest in your self learning. You believe in always learning something new, growing always all the time, right? But most of the time people like, okay, I learned this much, now I don't want to learn anything, now I already know everything. What is your advice to this kind of people? I know everybody have not this kind of mindset, but might be for some people who have this mindset, okay, I know everything, I don't want to learn anything now. So what is your advice to this level of people, this kind of people?
So that has going back to mindset. I
Mm.
teach my client family members to be open and curious and to know that they do not know. And
Yeah.
so I show up. I have 8 coaches and consultants personally.
Wow.
I've got a humor one, a relationship one, a health one, a fitness one. I could go on and on. So I
Mm.
invest a lot of money into this profession because I believe in it and because it gives me outcomes, a lot of money and a lot of time. I'm just open and curious. I show up on every call or every Zoom as if I know nothing, even though in some cases I'm like, already been there, done that. I'm like,
Yeah.
if I show up as a blank slate, I learn so much about myself, so much about the world. We do not know things. If we come with an attitude, I already know, we're real righteous or we're real closed-minded, there's not going to be any growth. So I
Mm.
come to everything as an open slate. And before I get on any conversation, I said, I will show up open and curious. So let the righteousness go and
Mm.
allow yourself to learn. And by the way, if you're not a continuous learner, you're not going to succeed in business. Why? Let me tell you, I am not the same consultant that I was 30 years ago, right? I am really a great consultant now. I was okay in the beginning, not great. The more I kept learning and showing up and hiring other mentors and coaches and consultants, the more I honed my skills. Why do I have a business consultant today? My clients ask me all the time. They're like, why would you have a business consultant? I have someone, I'm not allowed to say his name. He owns a private island. He's running way bigger and faster than I am. I have huge aspirations. So, yeah, I will always have a business consultant.
Yes, definitely. And that's how we always keep learning, keep growing, and we actually saving our a lot of time by just learning from the expert who already done the mistakes by themselves. So we are not following the same, or we are not going to do the same mistake, and we are going to achieve the success in a faster level. That's beautiful thing. That's
Yeah.
what I learned, and because of that I'm continuously growing and always investing. My family members are saying like, how much you are earning, you are investing again and again. What is in your bank? Like, why are you not saving some money and all? I said, okay, I'll do. But that's how it goes. That's how We
Yes,
are keep improving ourselves.
every
Amazing.
day. And I always tell my client family members, while you have the opportunity to learn from me, you more have the opportunity to earn from me, because I've been there, done that. I've hired all the mentors, coaches, and consultants. I've read all the books, and I've put this all into practice for decades. So you don't want to just learn, you want to earn. I've made the mistakes, I've spent the money. You don't have to. And I feel like that's a really important piece.
That's so true. That's very beautiful. So, like being in the business from, and you mostly serve a lot of coaches and consultant. If you can share like top three biggest mistakes or challenges, common challenges coaches facing, if you
Mhm.
can talk about them, and if you can share like how they can overcome this top challenges, or it would be great.
So the first thing I see is that people either don't pick any niche at all. They're like, oh, if somebody's breathing and
Mm.
can give me a credit
Yeah.
card, I can help them. You have to have a niche, and
Mm.
you have to have a niche that you have an affinity with. What do I mean by that? You belong to that niche. So let me give you an example. One of my clients recently said, oh, I want to work with chiropractors. I said, that's great. How many could you call tomorrow? What? I said, how many could you pick up your phone and call? Oh, I don't know any. That's not who you work with. You have to work with people that you already have. And the reason people can't find clients is all of a sudden they're like, I'm going to coach lawyers or authors. They have no affinity with those people. So when I first started, being very transparent, I started consulting with speech pathologists, occupational therapists, and physical therapists. Why? I came out of the rehabilitation industry. Who was around me? That's who I had an affinity with, until I built an affinity with new niches. That's number one. Pick a narrow and deep niche. Number two, make sure you can reach people in that niche because you're one of them. The next thing is stop selling. If I get one more direct message that says, Terry, I see you're a new coach like me. Let me help you book 40 appointments. A, I'm not new. B, I probably have more experience and more income than you have. And C, if somebody needs 40 appointments, there's something wrong. I don't want 40 appointments. I would never want 40 appointments. Give me 2 qualified prospects. I'll be really thrilled. So the second thing is stop pitching people your services and your products. And the last part is don't have sales conversations or these fake, we're going to do a game plan or a strategy session, and your intention isn't that. Your intention is, I'm going to pitch you something. I don't pitch. So at the end of a Zoom, for example, if they haven't said, how do I work with you, or how do I get in your program, I'm not going to tell them. The end of the Zoom, if I say to myself, man, I'd really like to help this person, I simply say, you know what? I actually think I'd like to help you. If you're interested, I can tell you more. Or I ask myself, can I help them? No, I can't. And I say, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. That mindset shift is going to make the biggest difference. So every single day, all I want to do is talk to a couple of qualified people that I can help. Period. End of story.
Man, the point when you sharing like, is this person who is right fit for work with me, or man, I know I can help him, so I'll definitely share. That's totally makes sense, because from deeper inside we know like, okay, I know this person need my help, and let me help him or her for the problem they are facing.
Mhm.
Let's solve their problem. That's making a lot of sense. That's making a lot of sense.
And that's all that I tell my client family members to do. Solve as many people's problems a day as you can. That's it.
Hmm.
And stay in your lane. Like if you're not an expert at sales, don't talk about sales. If you're not an expert at marketing, don't. So make sure that whatever you're coaching or consulting on, you are really an expert at. And by the way, if you have no training as a coach or consultant, please get into a different business. There's enough fake experts. We don't need more. I really mean that.
Hmm. True. So true. Thanks for dropping this. Definitely, with this time, over the time, I see a lot of people are like, okay, I can help you to make 6 figure. Even they are themselves struggling in the business.
Exactly. And there's a lot of that, right? I call them, fake gurus or fake
Yeah.
experts. I
Yeah.
had a person want to come on as a client and wanted to help people make six figures. And the person wasn't even making $5,000 a month. And I said, number one, I will not take you because you're not in integrity. And number two, that is not what you should be teaching someone. Because, if I was 300 pounds overweight, I wouldn't start marketing. I have a weight loss clinic and I can help you. I really need to do what I am living.
Yeah.
I tell my clients, like my first book is called Work Yourself Happy. What if you were to call me and you say, how are you doing? Oh my God, I'm working so hard. I'm so exhausted. You can't do that. You have to do and live in integrity with transparency and authenticity. That's actually what Heartrepreneur
Yeah.
stands for.
Yeah. Yeah. Preach what you practice.
Exactly. Yes.
Right? Because when I begin my journey of podcasting, I didn't ever thought to teach this process, but when I completed like my 40, 50 episodes, and I decided, okay, I am doing it from last 1 year, and now I earned this, and
Mm.
I have authority to teach it even to somebody who is or at zero. I can help them to launch that 10 episode. So that's how it makes sense, right?
And you
Love it.
only have to be a little ahead. I always tell my clients,
Yes.
you don't have to be light, you're just a little
Yes.
ahead. And so that people can learn from you. And that's why you're continuously
Mhm.
learning, because at some point your client's going to catch up with you. So if you're continuously learning, I have a client who's been with me for over 30 years. And she said
Wow.
on my Zoom with my other clients the other day, she said, people always ask me, how could you have the same mentor for over 30 years? And she said, because my mentor keeps learning and keeps teaching me new things every single week. And I thought, yeah, that really is important. And it's why I've left some mentors at some
Mm.
point. Even the mentor has said to me, I had a consultant say to me, you know more than I know about this topic now. It's time for you to go. And I went, yeah, I guess you're right. Because my mentor had stopped learning.
Beauty. Loved it. Great. This is something very new perspective I heard from. That's amazing. Thanks for sharing. Um, in this journey of your entrepreneurship, your business, there's a lot of downfall as well. Like when we are growing, at the same time, we have a downfall as well. Like it's the same like a wave of up and down, up and down. So in your downfall, like how you are keeping yourself in momentum that is pushing you to win every single day without worrying like, okay, what's going to happen next day, or how you are keeping yourself in momentum and
Mm.
keep going on in this situation.
Glad you asked that. That is part of mindset. So
Hmm.
I look at everything in life as being cyclical. Sometimes things are working great and sometimes they're not. So this morning I went to make a video, and no matter what I did, my phone would not record a video. And I went, okay. So I just closed my phone, plugged it in, left it be for an hour, picked it up. Oh, and I made a video, right? So I just look at everything as cyclical. So when something happens, I don't have a big reaction to it. It's like, whatever. And then I just say to myself, okay, it's all about serving and creating. Just go back to creating value. Every once in a while, all of us are going to have one client, customer, or somebody following us on social media who, who knows? People on social media say some of the strangest things, right? And I just let it all roll. It's like, whatever. I'm doing what I need to do to be consistent, to help people. And not everyone is going to, be applauding and be in my corner. And every once in a while, even a competitor is going to be a little weird. Doesn't make any difference to me. Upsets in business, downs in business, it's just normal. And I don't view things as positive or negative. I just view them as something that occurred and I move on, no matter what it is. Even if I'm celebrating something huge, like a client of mine just hit his first $50,000 month. And when he started with me, it was at like 5,000. So he's going on and on the other day. He's like crazy happy and, celebrating. And I said, let me just tell you, my friend, business is cyclical. It doesn't mean next month is going to be 50,000 or 60 or 100. It could be 20. Just
Hmm.
rolling with things and just taking it easy and just having more joy.
It comes from the experience.
Yes, and it's also a conscious choice, right? I
Yeah.
mean, something could happen that doesn't look, quote, good,
Mm.
and we could go off in a crazy direction and spin ourselves in circles, or we could say, okay, that's part of life, part of the movie of life. Things happen. I just had, very unfortunately, a young second cousin of mine found dead in the street. He had a massive heart attack. And my family is, really having a major reaction to it. And I feel sadness, yet at the same time, I also know that this is part of life.
Mm.
And so I have more of an acceptance of sad people come and people go. We all come and go. And instead, I'm focused on the great things from David's life. And that's what I'm trying to teach my family is we'll feel that hole, we'll feel that gap, we'll miss him. Yet let's celebrate his life and not the sadness that we're feeling.
Wow, I love this perspective of yours when you mention this beautiful thing, which is it is always be there, but just keep moving forward and accept what happened because nothing is in your hand.
Yes,
Everything happened just because of there is some reason behind it, or might be a destiny want that one thing for me. So accept it and move ahead.
exactly. And not to worry about things that you can't control. So
Yeah.
I can't control whether it's peace or war or
Mm.
politics. I can't control any of it. I can't control
Right,
the
right,
news.
right.
So I only concern myself with what is in my control, not all these circumstances. People throw out every conspiracy theory under the sun. Social media is a cesspool of that. And I'm like, I can't, even if these are real and not conspiracy theories, I can't control any of this stuff. So I just ignore all of the chatter and all of the buzz, and I only focus on what can I personally control. And mostly what I control is my thinking.
Loved it, loved it. Amazing. So what's your daily routine like? What is your habits for your business and for your personal life? How you are managing it, and what's your daily schedule?
Ooh, love this. So every morning, before my feet hit the floor, and I teach this to all my client family members, I do a process called GID. G
GID.
GID. G stands for gratitude. So before I get out of bed, I give gratitude. I stands for intentions, not to dos. How do I intend to feel today? And today, when I did my intentions, one of them is to feel loved and loving. Another was to feel joy. And the third one was to feel connection. And happily, I do
Wow.
feel that with you. And then delegations. And that's not delegating to a person. It's not like saying my social media manager does this. It's delegating the hows to the universe. So I'm working on a project that has so many moving parts that every day I'm like, huh. So I just delegated that to the universe today. I'm like, figure out the hows of this project. So that's number one. The
Mm.
second thing that I do is I journal. The third thing that I do is I do a meditation. Then I have my nice healthy breakfast. And then after that, if I'm here in Mexico, we were talking about this before we got on the podcast. I'll go for a swim. I've got my bathing suit on because that brings me a lot of joy. And then when I get back to the computer and to the office, I just ask myself, what can I do in the next 60 minutes to create value? And then it
Mm.
could be creating content, it could be doing a video, could be communicating with people. I spend 1 hour with a timer doing that. And honestly, my day is pretty complete after that. I have my own coaches and consultants, 8 of them that I'm meeting with pretty regularly. So I'm pretty busy, and I
Nice.
only do things that I love. If it's somebody comes to me with something that's not a hell yes, it's a no.
Loved it. Amazing. I follow some of them like gratitude writing journal, and I follow some of them, but not everything. But yes, that's actually making our brain very much powerful.
Yes.
I personally sense it, and it is really powerful exercise to do in the morning. So beautiful. Uh, this is something I always asked at the end of the podcast, which is what is something that you like to do out of the business, not in the business? What is your favorite thing? Is it food, travel, music, out of the business?
I am an avid reader. I love to read. Last weekend, I read 2 books on Saturday and 3 books on Sunday.
Mm.
Just being able to quiet my mind and dive into a book. Some are business books, some are self help. And then I just also read autobiographies, and I love mysteries, really good mysteries. And so when I read, I just always feel like I'm traveling somewhere else. I'm learning. And at the same time, I find that I'm truly in a relaxed place when I read. In fact, I had a friend staying with me here in Mexico last weekend, and we were up on the patio and we were reading, and she said, I kept looking at you and you were like in a trance. I'm like, I'm reading this mystery and I'm like crazy. So that's what I love. It's a passion of
Yeah,
mine.
beautiful. And if you can share, as you mentioned, you are an avid reader. So if you can share the books, mystery books, autobiography, or normal book. So which is your favorite, and you would recommend to our audience?
So first of all, every business owner, I believe, needs to read Michael Gerber's E-Myth. I have my clients read it every quarter. I think it's the business Bible. It's one of the
Mm,
best books I've ever read. Going to sound promotional. I will also tell you my book, The Conversion Equation,
definitely.
has transformed so many businesses, and it is as if I'm consulting with you. So I highly recommend that. I read mystery books that are based on true crimes. So you
Mm.
just go to Amazon or wherever you want to go and you just put in true crime. So I probably have 50 different authors because I'm fascinated on how do killers think. It amazes me that amongst us, there are people that think in this really different way. And while I try to figure out the mystery, I'm much more interested in the psychology of the human being.
Wow.
And any book and every book by Jack Canfield, he's a friend of mine that I love and adore.
Mm.
And same with Dr. Joe Vitale, another close friend of mine. I recommend reading all of their books. They're so inspirational and motivational. My library is filled with their books, all personally signed by them.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. And would love to invite Jack and Phil on my podcast as well. So definitely. But really insane podcast with you. It was a lot of learning, lot of even for me, it's mind-opening things for me. For me, thank you for sharing all the nuggets. And yeah, where do people can find you and connect with you to learn more about you and you from you?
So the best way is to actually join my Facebook community. Then you'll be able to introduce yourself and we'll be able to do business together. And that's called Entrepreneurs with Terri Levine. And then I have a free training for you. And it's really valuable. It's at www.six, the number six, figs, Figs, like figures, six figs in six, the number 6 months.com, 6 figs in 6 months.com. And then finally, I answer emails. So if you have a question and you want to contact me, just go to my website. You can connect with me there, and that's heartrepreneur.com. So the word heart, then repreneur.com. Happy to answer any questions and to give advice and to help, as I said. And as you know, I am here to serve and create, and it's been an honor and a privilege to be with you. And I have to say, you've asked me a lot of questions that no one has asked me, and I podcast and do radio interviews regularly. So thank you for bringing out some really great info today.
I am super grateful for the discussion we had, because I know if we can go on and on, this podcast has a second season. Like we have to record it in two format, like, and I would love to invite you one more time because,
I'd love
because
to come back.
yeah, definitely it would be a pleasure, because time has its own limit, and we can keep it for this. Like it is also like for people a complete book. It's
Yes,
a 48-minute podcast, but it is a complete book reading session for them. So would love to invite you one more time.
I'll
And
say
thank you so much. Yes, awesome. So guys, if you are listening this podcast till now, make sure you drop your action steps, like what, instead of just listening it and leave it, type it down, like what is the one action you are going to take from this podcast, and share your biggest love to Dr. Terry for the amazing insights that she shared. And yeah, I'm going to drop all the links in the show notes and the description, so go and check that out and follow Dr. Terry on all the social media platforms. Thank you so much once again. Nilesh Jain is signing off from the Entrepreneurs Warriors Show.